Hello and welcome back to the allotment plot. It is the 23rd of June and it is insanely windy. We have had some really bizarre weather in the last 24 hours. It's been blisteringly hot and sunny. It has torrentially downpoured and now it is blustering. it's very windy, and thankfully my plants have held up really well. Nothing is damaged. Everything's doing really well. I'm very glad about that. I was a little bit worried about the sunflowers again, but they're holding up really nicely. I did pop to the plot briefly yesterday with mum, and we just did some watering, and I harvested my sweet peas, and the sweet pea wall looked the best that I've ever seen it, and it was absolutely gorgeous. It was so beautiful. So I picked a bunch of sweet peas, and I'm really glad I did water because we had a torrential downpour last night where it wasn't raining 1 minute and then the next second it was literally a monsoon, and a huge amount of water fell in a very short space of time. So the fact that I had already watered meant the ground was already damp, and instead of just running off the surface, hopefully the rain actually did penetrate the ground and go into where the roots are. So it was it was worth coming in to do it, even though it was really hot and tiring work. Today I really need to start getting my fourth bed prepared. It's the one behind the beans, which is behind me. I got some purple sprouting broccoli from the garden centre the other day, and it really needs to go in the ground, but I also need something to cover it and protect it from pests that, like brassicas. I say pests, let's be kind. Insects and creatures that like brassicas. So I need to protect them as soon as they go into the ground, and I'm not ready for that. So I really need to get ready for that and get that bed prepared so that I can get the broccolis in. I also have a tree spinach, which is super cool. And I've brought that with me today, and I might just throw that in a different bed just because it really needs to go in the ground. But I might not put that in the designated brassica bed. And I also have some violas, which we got from the garden centre because they were on sale. And I love violas. They are another one of my favourite flowers alongside the cosmos. And I am devastated that all the violas that I have grown in the past, none of them have taken from the seed that I've sown. So I'm really excited to have a new batch of violas, and I'm hoping I can keep these going a little bit longer. But they're just so cute. I love them, and I just need to decide somewhere to put them really. I might just dot them around the greenhouse, just because there's ground ready for them there. But yeah, I don't know. I'll have a look and see. But that's what I've got going on today. I also think I might harvest my aubergine because I'm pretty sure it's ready. Look at this guy. It looks so good. Um, yeah, I really don't know. I don't know when to know if it's ready. There was another flower. I don't know if that's pollinated. But there is another one coming out. I think there was some on this stem and they've fallen off, so they obviously didn't get pollinated. But if I take this off, then hopefully it will then put energy into the other flowers. So yeah, I just need to figure out what to do with it, cooking wise. I do also have a courgette, which, oh, hello little ladybird. It's looking really good. I could pick it now, um, or I could leave it maybe another day to get a little bit bigger. I'm not sure, but I could have that with my one aubergine as well. Um, Maybe a little pasta dish for lunch or something would be quite nice. Oh, also, I need to pot up these moneymaker tomatoes into the big pot. They were in the greenhouse, but they just looked really sad. The leaves were curling, they looked really crispy. These flowers look like they've just withered. So I think the greenhouse might be actually too hot for the tomatoes. So I am going to, once I've potted them up, I am actually going to leave these outside as well. So I'm not going to have indoor and outdoor tomatoes. I'm just going to have them all outdoors because I think the greenhouse is just too intense of a heat for them. So just going to get those into this pot, figure out where to pop them, and then hopefully they will recover a little bit because they look a little bit sad and stressed at the moment. Poor things.
One thing I think is really easy to underestimate when you have an allotment plot or even just a garden is how much soil you need to go through. I am so grateful there was at least a semblance of compost that was left behind for me to use, which is what this is. And I honestly thought this would be far too much for this one tub, and I was sorely mistaken. I'm really trying where at all possible to not buy in compost because it's so expensive, and just the sheer amount of compost I would need, it would really add up very, very quickly. So at least I've got this soil for now, but I will be depleting my reserves very, very quickly, and soon I will probably need to think about purchasing some compost at least to supplement what I already have here. There were also these tubes which were left over by the previous plot owner, and I'm putting them into the pot next to the tomatoes, and I'll be using these as a way of improving the hydration in this pot, so I can water into the tubes and it will slowly release the water down by the roots, and it will just help to keep this whole soil a little bit moister. And hopefully when it rains, instead of just all sitting on the top and then potentially overflowing around the outside, it will then go into the tubes and go actually into the soil where the roots are, and just help me out a little bit because we are really struggling with the heat here in the UK, and watering is becoming a really, really big issue, especially things in pots. They're just drying out so quickly. This was the moment I realised I was supposed to move the tub before I watered it, because I knew it would be way too heavy to move afterwards, and I'm testing it out here and confirming my suspicion and really regretting my decision about 30 seconds prior. But as with anything in my life, I persevered with brute force and spite and managed to move that pot, but my goodness me, was it heavy, and I really don't think I'll be doing that mistake ever again. I've chosen this spot in front of the greenhouse next to my ginger nut sunflowers. This is going to help me keep an eye on it in terms of watering, because I'll just water the pots at the same time, and I think it will look cute when it's grown up. That was so stupidly heavy. That was a really dumb thing to do. Oh my gosh. My arms were so achy from that heaviness that I couldn't even pour into that tube, but this just highlights the slow release of the water down into the soil, and hopefully this will help me keep my tomatoes hydrated and happy. And it's also a really good method for anything big and leafy which shades the rain from the soil.
I'm thinking of just putting my tree spinach in the corner of this bed, just because the ground is ready and I think it could look quite nice. It's got really lovely pink tinges to the leaves, which will go nicely with the cosmos. I don't know if I need to stake it because it could get really tall, but I will just put it in the ground and see how it grows, and I can then assess the situation as and when I need to. But yeah, I'm just going to throw this in. This little pot is not doing it any favors, so yeah, I'm just going to throw that in now.
I had a bit of spare space at the end of this bed, and to try and help prevent weeds coming up, I have sown some more radish. So this time I have been specific in watering the ground first and making little trenches and trying to sow as thinly as possible, and then covering up with another layer of compost before giving them another water so that they've got good contact with the soil. Hopefully this will stop them all pooling in the same place like they have done in my bean bed, and they will also help to keep the weeds down, which really like to grow in this bed. Then it was finally time to get my fourth bed ready. You can really see how successful the cardboard has been. You can see the difference between where the cardboard has been and hasn't been in terms of how many weeds are there. So I first had to clear over the area that wasn't covered and get the weeds out, but there were still a few little bits under the cardboard, so I had to just get rid of all of them first before I could then actually get some soil again from the old compost bin and just dump it in, because if you remember from a few previous videos ago, this actually was basically a basin. It's not level whatsoever, so it really needed a lot of compost to bring it up to an acceptable height. So I just had to throw a heap of compost on there and bring it all to a level which I could then work with. I really hate to think how much money I would have to spend on compost to fill this bed. I think it took about 5 wheelbarrow fulls of compost or soil from other areas of the plot, and it really depleted my resources, so I'm a little bit concerned when it comes to making other beds, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it. I didn't realise at first that I hadn't got both ends of my bed, so I needed to scavenge another pole from elsewhere on the plot, and luckily I did have another one of the same size. So I used an end from the tomato bed to measure where to cut the poles, and it's really convenient actually because a lot of these poles have rotten ends, so it doesn't really matter that I'm cutting some of it off because they would have just broken off anyway. But yeah, I got to sawing again, which is one of my favourite jobs, and then finally had all of my sides and soil into the bed, and with one final dump load of compost, I think it's just about ready to go for my broccolis.
I'm so glad I've got the fourth bed done. This whole section looks really good now. Um, like it is ready to go. All my produce beds are complete, which is really nice. Well, I say complete, that one's half done, but it's still got lots of good stuff growing in it. Um, have a look at my beans. They're starting to get their flowers and they're growing up really, really nicely. This one's actually almost to the top. Oh my goodness, I need to tie that in, I think, and that one. It's gone a little bit wayward, but yeah, they're growing really nicely. The radish are looking good. I think they have been sown a little bit too close together, and also when the water went on them when they were seeds, they all sort of clumped together. So I need to be a bit more mindful of that when I'm sowing the radish. But they're growing really well. They do have some holes in them, but nothing too majorly concerning. The chard has gone insane. um, I probably should pick a few, maybe have some for my lunch, figure out what to do with them, but they look really good. This whole bed is just filled really nicely. It's filled out really nicely. Really, really pleased with this one. So yeah, I'm just going to cover that brassica bed up now, again with the cardboard, just to keep any weeds down, and then possibly next time I'm on the plot I can bring the broccolis and get them into the ground. My microphone died, so hopefully you can hear this. But I think I'm just gonna throw the violas into the ground around the greenhouse and just get them in the ground because there's quite a few of them and they need to have a little bit more space, and I want to make the most of them while they're in flower. The idea is hopefully they will all go to seed and then they'll self-seed themselves around the plot eventually. So there's quite a few, so I don't know if I want to put them all in the same place, but I'm thinking I might put some around the greenhouse and then Possibly have a few spare to put in the beds. I don't know yet, I'll see how I go. So I'm just going to get that done, and then I'm going to go home and I think call it a day, because I'm really, really tired and I struggled with the heat over the weekend, so I'm kind of recovering a little bit from possible heat exhaustion. So I just want to take it a little bit easy today, but I will see you next time I'm on the plot, whenever that is.
I came to the plot after work this evening and I'd had a really annoying day at work, so I was really grumpy and I just didn't want to do anything much. I just wanted to be somewhere not at work and kind of decompress from the day, which was really frustrating. And I am really pleased that I've got my plot to a state where I can just potter around already and just be there and appreciate what is there without actually having to do any work. And I think that's a really good achievement after such a short time, to be able to just come and enjoy looking at some flowers and picking some produce. I am really pleased I've got to this stage already. I didn't think I'd be able to. And of course, little Maple was here enjoying rolling around in the grass. There's a big indent where she lays, and I'd wondered what it was. And then I found her in her spot. So that explains why there's a massive sunken patch in the grass. And I just enjoyed being here. Just stepping onto the plot gave me such a joy, and I just forgot about my frustrating day at work. And I just enjoyed being with the flowers and seeing the foliage and looking at everything growing and being really satisfied that I did this and I felt accomplished. And yeah, it just really helped to salvage my day. There are some days which are certainly for productivity, and there are some which are just for observing and being, and this was definitely an observing and being kind of day. And I think I really needed it, because this was probably the first one I've had since I've had my plot, and everything has just been go, go, go all the time. Every time I come onto the plot, I have to do something. And this was the first time I really did just come and look and not do anything major, and it made such a huge difference. And I will certainly be making a point to do this more often. And I am just thrilled with seeing how everything is growing. Things that I didn't think would be doing very well are doing really well. And I also got to harvest my aubergine, which I've been watching grow for weeks, and I've been so eager to try, and it's finally ready. I didn't really know what to look for, but there's a little bit of a squishiness to it, but not too much. And I can confirm it was absolutely delicious, and I cannot wait to get more aubergines from that plant. I can't believe how fast time has gone. I am coming up to 2 months on my plot. I will be doing a 2-month allotment plot tour, and that will be in the video after the next one. So make sure you subscribe in order to stay up to date with my plot adventures. And I'm really just taking it all in and being so grateful that I have been given this opportunity to be growing my own flowers and vegetables. This was taken before I was given some really strong antihistamines, and I'm trying so desperately to smell the sweet peas, and at this moment in time I couldn't at all. But it didn't take away from the joy that I get seeing them and just reflecting on my own personal journey that has got me to this moment in time. And I was overcome with a sense of joy and pride, and I'm just so pleased to be where I am. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next allotment vlog update. Until then, stay calm and carry on growing. Bye!